Hello, welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from our homes here in a snowy Chicagoland area. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. You can follow Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer, at Vinnie Duber. The man that's usually in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
That way. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I am Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. And we have Lawrence Benedetto producing us today. And shout out to Law on the draw. If you are here hanging out with us, hit the thumbs up button on this Friday. Make sure you're subscribed to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel, because if any breaking news happens in the Chicagoland area for sports, I don't know why I keep saying Chicagoland area, but if anything happens with your Chicago sports team, we will have you covered. There has been the Shota Imanaga emergency podcast. There's been the Luke Getsy emergency podcast this week. And if anything breaking news happens with the White Sox, Dylan Cease, I guess, we will have you covered. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button, and make sure you're telling a friend. On today's show, we're going to be taking a page out of the Bulls playbook. Vinny went and saw the new Ring of Honor, which is being established at the East Atrium tonight and being kind of unveiled as Steve Kerr's Warriors are visiting the Chicago Bulls. So we'll talk about the White Sox version of a Ring of Honor. But we're also going to start with a comment that I uploaded to our YouTube channel. We played in full on a podcast about 2 days ago. And Vinny is now groaning at the fact that we are bringing this back up. So, Lawrence, is it ready? Do we have the Chris Getz clip? If we do, here is.
It's currently processing here, a little spinning dial here, and it will be ready momentarily. Hello, everyone.
Okay. No.
I don't know if you could vamp for like a little bit here.
I'll say this: I'm not groaning that it's being dredged up again. I really don't care what it is. That's fine. It was an answer to a question that I asked. I just feel like I'm groaning at the reason that it's back, that it's being dragged back up, which I think is anytime the White Sox tweet out anything or put anything on social media, no matter how innocuous or not. Everybody just reacts very negatively to it and decides to scream them down. So I feel like that's what's maybe happening here, but we'll take a look at the answer. Cause again, it was a question that I asked and I wanted an answer to it. This is the answer we got. And so let's take a look at it. Why not?
Chris, just building off of that, what sort of confidence do you have in kind of, I guess, the infrastructure that you guys are putting together here to turn a lot of those guys who didn't have very good offensive seasons a year ago, or in some of the cases of some of the guys you brought aboard, the last few years, what sort of confidence level do you have that the offense is going to be improved, even if you're not necessarily going out and getting guys who have the biggest offensive numbers?
Yeah, it starts with the education to our players. You educate them, you hold them accountable. You make sure that they're prepared to go out there and fight on a daily basis. They got to know the pitchers that they're facing. I do feel like the system is going to be strong in place. Marcus Thames is very experienced with all different types of hitters, experience levels at his various stops. Mike Tozar has a strong connection with some of the players that are already in house. We've brought others around that are going to be part of the supporting cast as well. So I feel pretty good about where we're headed. Are we where we need to be? Of course not. But I do feel like we've got the makings to be more successful than we've been in the past.
Hey, if the White Sox don't post a quote graphic of Chris Getz's innocuous comment there, I don't know about this answer. And if you don't ask this question, we're not playing it. So, part of this too is just so we can, get some Vinny shine here.
It's all your fault, Vinny.
But
everything is.
We are very interested in how they're going to turn around the offense. It's a good question. And the education of their players, and quote, they have to know the pitcher they're facing. I think it's important to play it and hear it, because when you read it, it just seems very, very much like, oh, it's Mike Soroka versus Luis Castillo, and they have no idea who Luis Castillo is. I think it's probably saying we have to be able to educate them on all 13 of a team's pitchers so that even when they're going up against somebody in relief, they're not surprised by this guy's crazy Matt Brash slider or something, to use an example. I think maybe Chris Getz didn't give a ton of color to that comment, and that's why just the harshness of they have to know the pitcher they're facing is very scary for the team that I think was 29th in weighted runs created plus and was horrible offensively.
Well, absolutely. And I think, too, you can probably trace it back to what has been the White Sox offense's biggest problem, not just in 2023, but in the past several years, because we've heard multiple managers talk about it, which is they're just swinging at everything. And I think that, it's part of curing that is the game planning aspect of it. Is a guy going to throw you a bunch of breaking balls outside of the zone? Then maybe don't swing at everything so much. But if a guy's just piping fastballs all day, then go right ahead. That's a strategy that might play. And I think what Chris was talking about there was pretty basic, at least for a major leaguer, basic game planning and basic, hitting strategy 101, something I'm sure you'll hear from Marcus Thames, something I'm sure you heard from the rare occasion that Jose Castro spoke last year, but also from Frank Menachino when he would speak. I mean, this is not revolutionary ideas. It's just that White Sox hitters have not done it. And I think, we heard from Pedro Grifol at the end of last season saying at times it was a problem of guys listening to the coaching staff. Maybe that is kind of the thing. It's like, hey, here's what the benefit of listening to the coaching staff is they can help you with this game planning. And what strikes really as pretty run-of-the-mill stuff when they talk about wanting guys that play a certain way and play the right way. I think you are probably getting some of that in there too, of guys who know just the basics of going out there and making a game plan to have success in a given at bat, not necessarily over the course of an entire season.
You had something, Sean? You had.
Well, I do, but I don't. Okay, so. What do we make of this, though? Because, again, they have to know the pitcher they're facing. You bring up a guy's going up there and just maybe throwing only fastballs, right? Maybe that would be successful for the Sox. There was a moment last year where Luis Castillo threw 47 consecutive fastballs.
Correct.
That was on August 21st. On August 22nd, Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams were fired. Is this maybe a moment that Chris Getz was so disgusted by that he went in and made a passionate plea to Jerry Reinsdorf to say, hey, I could clean this shit up? It is such a bizarre thing to say they have to know the pitcher they're facing. And hey, maybe they don't know, again, some of the A's bullpen guys, but even then, Luis Castillo, a well-known commodity, is pumping 47 straight fastballs by it.
I mean, if you think about it, last year, what we hear from players on this team was unprepared, and I would not put it past that these guys didn't get the players prepared. Now, these are grown men. They should be preparing themselves for the battles that they're going against versus the pitchers, so they should know this stuff on their own. But it's never a bad thing for your hitting coach or your assistant hitting coach to give you the play-by-play of what's going on the mound or what pitchers could be coming up against you later in the game. And so, yeah, I think that maybe there's some truth to this, but yeah, hearing the quote with the actual him speaking it's a little bit more innocuous, but how can you blame White Sox fans? They heard what they heard last year from Keenan Middleton, that the team wasn't prepared. People are missing meetings, missing PFPs. So I wouldn't put it too much far past this team with the 1 year that they had with Jose Castro and the 1 year they had with Chris Johnson, that things weren't done. Things weren't done properly. And so maybe Chris just said that as an aside, but I wouldn't just poo-poo it and say that probably didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, the one concern too, on top of this is, this was a complaint from past managers, Tony La Russa. Pedro Grifol came into the job saying, we're going to prepare every night to kick your ass. They lost over 100 games. I think there was a question recently from our Discord saying, what did Pedro Grifol do in 2023 to actually be reestablished as the manager? Because there wasn't really anything that you took away like, oh, this guy really knew what he was doing. It really did seem like a lot of blame going towards the players. And I think part of it too is the Royals thing that we brought up yesterday is that, again, is this just more Royals buddy, more Royals buddy, just leading to Pedro Grifol keeping this job. But the thing too is like Tony La Russa, the guy who also was complaining about these guys' approach and maybe their game plan, he's just rewarded and now as an advisor. So, like, I don't know. How do you fix the problem if Pedro Grifol and Tony La Russa, the two past guys who have been a part of getting ready, getting the game plan ready, are still at power with the White Sox? Maybe because they know the problem so immensely. They're so disgusted with how bad the problem was. I mean,
I think what you're doing, or with that question, you're swinging the other way, right? If I'm going to say, boy, those players are not doing their job up there. They're the ones taking the at bats. They're the ones that are paid to go up there and not strike out. They're the ones that are paid to go up there and not lose 100 games. And yet they're doing just that. You're playing devil's advocate in a way and saying, well, get everybody out. Everybody that could possibly have anything to do with it, get them out of there. I think the answer to your question is, how do you fix it, is you change the roster, right? I mean, that's one way. And certainly you've seen some pieces already be removed from this roster. Some of them are immovable or relatively so. And maybe that's what is the long-term plan, is to have all of these guys come in. And again, when I say this, I'm not saying that the team is going to perform to these statistics, but you've seen the kind of people that have been brought in so far. Maybe you get the play the game the right way additions like Paul DeJong and like Martin Maldonado and like all those guys. And then you get that in like I said, a more productive way once you go out and you start spending some more money. I don't know, but that's the answer to your question. I guess we'll see if yet another hitting coach can turn things around with the same group of guys, because as we've seen so far this offseason, the improvement on the offensive end is going to have to come from Yohan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez and Andrew Benintendi and Andrew Vaughn. Because it's not coming from Paul DeJong and Martin Maldonado and Nicky Lopez, unless they surprise with a year that is drastically different than what they've done in the recent past.
Any more thoughts on the Chris Getz weird quote graphic that the White Sox posted today?
Nope.
I'm with Bennett. Just shouldn't have posted it. Why post it? It's not that illuminating, besides your team looking unprepared. Because as somebody, again, who's supposed to program content for the White Sox 5 days a week, I didn't really check this comment when I first heard it. I mean, we got 10 minutes out of it now, so hey, well, I'll take it. But and also it was surprising.
It was a little context free too. I mean, it was a question that was very specifically about the offense and the stuff that they're doing behind the scenes to try to make the offense better, and it was just presented as like you said, a Pedro Grifol, we're going to kick your ass every day quote, and it's like, well, but that's not what it was. It was him talking about a specific thing.
Well, the one thing too, you asked, how do you make the offense better? An answer that I would be able to be like, oh, that would make sense, is if they didn't know the pitchers. Like, again, this team in 2023, back in 2020, was projected to be the team of the century. This was supposed to be the team that was winning World Series in 2023. The White Sox were supposed to be winning 112 games and not losing 100 games, right? Like, it is very shocking to see how bad this team was. So in a way, I don't think fans would be that surprised if there were some nights where they had no idea who they were playing. Like, by the way that they looked, like, it was very easy to go up against the White Sox, just throw sliders, throw it away, and they're going to chase, right? It really didn't seem like it mattered who the pitcher was, as long as they were right-handed and able to throw a slider. They would be able to get outs against the White Sox. Like, I don't know. Hopefully they have a better game plan. Who's the Tigers' opening day starter? Tariq Skubal, right? We got a good game plan against Skubal, and then they're able to hammer off of them. Maybe we finally see the power of against lefties come back. That'd be great. All right, let's take a break. We'll jump into the Ring of Honor talk, and then we'll get on with our Friday. Let's let you know, though, about our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. Our friends at Circa Sportsbook are the world's largest sportsbook, and you could download the world's largest sportsbook and have it at your fingertips now by heading over to circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. That is circasports.com/Illinois-app. Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use a -115 or -120 split. They have tight money line splits and a low hold model where they don't look to take on big bets from futures. There's currently a golf tournament going on. It would take a lot of money for the Sony tournament that's currently going on, right? They try to focus mainly on the football games, the playoff games that are happening this weekend, or even Warriors and Bulls tonight. If you like the Bulls, you can head over to Circa and take the Bulls to win at -153, maybe even the Bulls to win by 3 over at -110 at Circa Sportsbook. And the best part about Circa, they have real people behind the brand. Circa Sports. There are people who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. If you or somebody you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Text GMB 833-234 or visit areyourreallywinning.com. Also want to let you know about our friends over at Empire 588.
2-300 Empire. Oof, that was the worst one yet.
Well, we're
a little laggy.
Yeah, we're not really in the same room.
It's been pre-recorded.
I'm sad that Lynn Haldren had to listen to that. Rest in peace, Lynn. I'm sorry, man.
Do you think he's listening?
I mean, all the time when we do this damn song, he's usually very proud of our pipes and our harmonizing, but that today was a discredit to his great pipes, as he was in a barbershop quartet himself.
R.I.P. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, and speed. So competitors advertise low quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Empire keeps shopping for floor simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes, but to help you find what you need. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. And you can check out their vast selection with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Again, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. If you saw on social media last night, there was a little party at the UC. The Ring of Honor was being introduced at a little ceremony to open up the Ring of Honor for the people who are being inducted. So Bulls greats like Bob Love, Luke Longley,
Brady Brown.
Michael Jordan wasn't there. Scotty
Tony Kukoc was there. He's being inducted. Luke Longley's just there as part of the team. But yeah,
John
Tony
Sally
Kukoc
was there.
Yeah,
as
Luke
part
McDonald's
of the team.
Namesake, Luke McDonald, and your man Luke Longley, looking great
Right.
too.
In our chat. Yeah, looking like a member of Wilco. Vinny, you ended up going over to the United Center and checking out the Ring of Honor yesterday. So what'd you make of it?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I don't know how much crossover there is here with Sox fans and Bulls fans, but growing up in the 90s, obviously, big Bulls fan when I was a kid, and to go and see kind of the little museum style display that they had up there was really neat. And they had jerseys and shoes and game balls and stuff from certain famous moments, and but then with some of the older folks, the guys who played in the 60s and 70s, old programs and warm-ups and pennants and stuff. And I don't know, it was pretty cool. It was, like I said, kind of museum-esque a little bit. They moved the Pippen and Red Kerr statues down to the atrium, so everything was kind of all in one spot. And it was just neat to see all that stuff. And it would be cool if they keep like the display cases up maybe throughout the year, and then then next time they do this, they have special display cases maybe for the next batch of inductees. But it's a cool thing to do, especially for a team like that doesn't have many retired numbers. It's a cool thing to do, and kind of it was fun to go over there and see. You can hop in there for free in the atrium when they're not playing and stuff like that. So I thought it would be a nice way to spend 15, 20 minutes, and indeed it was.
Yeah, I think that Ring of Honors are better than retiring numbers because we are living in this period in 2024. We're not thinking about 1,000 years from now where a bunch of numbers can be retired by then. Ring of Honor gives the special commitment and some ceremony to that player or person without taking a number out of rotation. There's only 100 of them as we're using right now. And so it'd be kind of tough if you go 00, we got 101. It's going to be tough for the years in the future where we're just going to be retiring extra numbers. And the White Sox already have a bunch of retired numbers. So that's why I would say a Ring of Honor would be best things moving forward. As the Bears, they don't even retire numbers anymore because they have so many retired already at this point.
Yeah, it's a way for sports fandom to evolve and grow. I think it's smart, and I mean the main reason why we're bringing it to the White Sox podcast is because Jerry Reinsdorf owns the Bulls, and he mentioned that this is Michael's project. That he wasn't really asked about this project at all. He just showed up, which hey, good for Jerry. He's kind of hands off with the Bulls. It's a money making machine, but. If Jerry Reinsdorf sees what a great idea this is, I don't think it's crazy for him to maybe bring this to the south side of Chicago. So what we're going to try to do is, flesh this out, but in a White Sox way. So the easiest way to do this is by just taking anyone who has their jersey number retired and they're a part of the first class already. Any objections here, or is that a pretty easy 11 right there?
Yeah, it's so many that I think that, this would be a hard thing to get off the ground, I think, for the White Sox, because the first year, it's the inaugural class of the Ring of Honor. It's the people whose names have been on the stadium already for the last however many years. So right. It would be kind of it would be kind of an anticlimactic first class, but then the second class would be really exciting. I feel like the thing that's cool though, I think the Bulls definitely, it wasn't just players. You saw Jerry Krause, Red Kerr, and Dick Klein, who was the first owner who brought the team here. So there were some folks, obviously Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, both from that dynasty coaching staff. There were some folks who didn't play for the team who got in to be part of this Ring of Honor too. And I think the White Sox could do something similar if they wanted to go ahead and take those 11 names that are already up on the board for being there, having their numbers retired, and add to it with a little bit of off the field honor right there.
Yeah, that's the one thing before I jump over to your comment, Herb. The Bulls, they were founded in 1966, and unfortunately, Jerry Sloan has passed, but Bob Love's still around, Scotty's still around, Michael Jordan's still around. The thing with baseball is, and you talked about the inaugural class there, Vinny, baseball's old as hell. So 6 of the 11 retired numbers, those people have passed, unfortunately, as due to old age. So that I don't know, the first class might be a little thin, but first class, those 11 being Nellie Fox, Harold Baines, Luke Appling, Minnie Minoso, Luis Aparicio, Paul Konerko, Ted Lyons, Billy Pierce, Frank Thomas, Mark Burley, and Carlton Fisk. As Vinny brings up, Phil Jackson, Tex Winter. If we're going first class non-retired jerseys, maybe key people of the franchise, any nominations you want to bring up?
I mean, my first person that I nominate before anybody else, I mean, when you think about White Sox baseball, for me, I think about Ken the Hawk Harrelson. Like, he's got the whole press box or his section named after him already. And you like him or not, you say his lines all the time. Can of corn. What's Frank Thomas's nickname? The Big Hurt. That's from Ken the Hawk Harrelson. Like, he was White Sox baseball from the 80s. What became a general manager real quick, sucked at that, came back to the booth, and up until he got retired a couple years ago. That's White Sox baseball for me. So I would put his name in the Ring of Honor of non-players. That would be my first person.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, certainly this is a fan experience, right? Is Major League Baseball, and what better than the guy who was the voice of that team for so long? I would go ahead, and put a few managers in there. I think you got to put the winningest manager in White Sox history. That's Al Lopez. His work, obviously, with the Go-Go White Sox in the late 50s there, but he managed for an awful long time. I believe he leads the franchise in wins and winning percentage. That would be a no-brainer. And then obviously the one who led this team to their most recent and their only World Series in the last 100 years, and that would be Ozzie Guillen. I think those two managers are no-brainers for a first class of the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, so I'm fine with non-retired jersey numbers, Hawk, Ozzie, and Al Lopez being a part of that first class. Dave Bautista and Bennett Carroll are bringing up Ed Farmer.
He was an all-star with them. He did some scouting for them, or Baltimore too. I mean, I would put him in there but I'm biased. I worked with Ed, so.
Put him in there eventually, for sure. Eventually, yeah. I mean, if we're talking first class, I don't know, but I mean, what a great guy. You know, I think folks would love to just see him honored in any number of ways.
How about this? So we have those three non-players. I mean, obviously, Ozzie was a player, so my bad. And Ed Farmer was too. But you know what I'm saying? Added because of their contributions post-playing as well. What about these three? If Hawk, Ozzie, and Al Lopez are our first three non-players in the second class, Nancy Faust, Bill Veeck, Ed Farmer.
Bill Veeck is a slam dunk. I think I would put him in there as soon as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Herb, stand up for a second. Let's see what shirt you're wearing right there today.
That one.
I had Rube Foster on my list.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think, obviously, it's not the same organization. It's not the same franchise. But guess where there is a Chicago American Giants flag flying these days? And that's over Guaranteed Rate Field. And if you want to talk about someone from Chicago baseball, Negro League baseball has certainly been turned into Major League Baseball retroactively, you know, in terms of statistics and honors and stuff like that. Rube Foster, the founder of the Chicago American Giants, I think that would make total sense to put his name up there on the wall as well.
100% agree. Like the barnstorming they did, the whole All-Star game, the concept of All-Star game came from the Negro Leagues, and the first one here was in 1933. But you said Nancy Faust. I would add two more people, and Nancy 100%. I mean, when you think about White Sox and Nana Hey Hey, which she brought to the White Sox lexicon because she liked the song by Steam and she played it on her organ, she deserves inclusion. But what's a White Sox thing without one of the most beloved people in White Sox history is Roger Bossert, the Sodfather.
I'm fine with that. Bennett saying retire the rake for the golden rake man, I believe, as Tony La Russa referred to him as. The one issue though with Rube Foster and now the Sodfather is we had threes. So what are we now going to go to four? And do we put Rube Foster in the first class and then Bossert in the second class? Also, Bossert's still with the team. Does he count? Should he be put in the Jose Abreu?
Is he not retired yet?
Right.
I mean,
well, also this is made up, so we can make our own rules, Sean.
Well, right. No, I'm just trying to define those rules now. Live
I mean, you got one of the people who got their numbers retired while he was still playing. So you already have precedence of giving that to a player or a person that hasn't hang up the rake, as it were, with Harold Baines.
No, relax. I mean, we're going off of what they listed as the candidate. So the Bulls Ring of Honor. The Bulls Ring of Honor. The Bulls Ring of Honor honorees must meet a set of criteria. Must have spent at least 3 seasons with the Bulls or Sox. Must have retired from baseball, basketball for at least 3 years. Roger Bossert's still going. Don't try to kill off Roger Bossert's plentiful and bountiful career.
I'm just saying they did that for Harold Baines when they retired his number, and he was still playing.
There's rules, Herb. This isn't the Harold Baines retiring jerseys thing. All right, this is a completely different thing. All right. Let's get into some players after a break. Let's let people know about Midtown Athletic Club and Game Time if they are looking to maybe even go to the Bulls game tonight as the Bulls welcome in Steph Curry and Steve Kerr and the Warriors. Herb, why don't you let people know, though, about where they could possibly play some basketball?
Midtown Athletic Club has 4 Chicagoland locations: Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. Midtown Palatine has launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. Now, Midtown is offering no initiation fees for this January at their Bannockburn, Palatine, and Willowbrook locations. So go there right damn now. Something at the club for everybody, whether you're a single person, married with kids, people looking for holistic lifestyle changes, whatever you're looking for, Midtown has it for you. Because Midtown Chicago is the nicest fitness club that I've ever been to, because of the super luxe locker rooms with wet and dry saunas and premium amenities, amazing outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, a collection of boutique fitness studios for more than 100 classes per week, included in your membership. Places like the arena, if you want to do some HIIT workouts. If you want to do yoga, there's Samadhi. Boxing, there's a place called Everybody Fights. For spin and cycling, there's a place called Ride. And the field and the theater are for cross-training and group exercises. But the thing that Midtown's known for the most is their tennis courts, and they have the best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor, outdoor, tennis, pickleball, and paddleball tennis. USTA professional quality all the way. Head on over to midtown.com/CHGO and find out more, and tour the Midtown Athletic Club that is nearest you.
Thank you, Herbert. Is it okay if I call you Herbert?
That's my name.
I know, but like, no one's busting out Herbert. People
Courtney
call you Herbie.
Courtney calls me Herbert. My fiance.
Courtney does?
Yes. It's almost exclusively. When she calls me Herb, I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
Shout out Courtney. I'm going to call you Herbert and throw you off now. Let's let you know about our friends over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to the next big event. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And hey, for events like the Bulls and Warriors tonight, I think there's about 3 hours left. You're going to get some great flash deals. You're going to get some great opportunities. I guess it's a little bit more expensive than the last game we looked at because of the Ring of Honor vibe going on, because of all the celebrities that will be in the event. But still, you can get in for about $50 tonight to see the Warriors and Bulls. And the Bulls are feeling it now. You get to see Steph Curry, a Hall of Famer, Klay Thompson, a Hall of Famer, and all the great Bulls of yore. So go check out Game Time. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and the Game Time guarantee means you always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay. So Alejandro De Jesus bringing up where they're bringing up journeymen like Albert Bell, Jim Thome, and Chris Sale. One of those does not belong. I have a list of names of players that should be included. One of these guys might be able to flex into the category that we just did of contributions outside of a uniform, but Robin Ventura was a really great player. I don't know if he should be introduced for his managerial skills, but Robin is 6th all time in WAR, above Louis Aparicio, above Jose Abreu, above Carlton Fisk, above Harold Baines. Robin Ventura, a real damn good player. Herb, you got 23 in that handle for a reason. I think Robin is a for sure inclusion into this list.
It's the perfect player that you put into a Ring of Honor. Not necessarily good enough for a retirement of a number, but also a lot of contributions to that team during his period of time that he did play. And how many Gold Gloves and Silver Sluggers did the guy win with those 90s White Sox? So yes, I 100% include Robin Ventura as a person that I would put into my list for a player that did something. I mean, we're going to get to the next player, and if you want me to nominate him, Sean, I can. I don't know if you want me to continue to talk about Robin.
What?
I was going to nominate another player who is also number 23, Sean. And would you happen to know who that is?
Andrew Benintendi.
It is not Andrew Benintendi. It is World Series MVP Jermaine Dye. Yes, I know people are thinking like, whoa, only 5 years with the White Sox? What did he really do? He has a higher OPS plus than Paul Konerko in his 5 years that he did play with the White Sox. He was a Silver Slugger for right field in 2006. that is almost impossible to do. Think about all the right fielders the White Sox have had in their career. They haven't had a lot of them. He was a really great one for his 5 years that he did play in White Sox pinstripes. So I would say he, in his 5 years, got the job done.
I appreciate Bennett saying the White Sox retired the right field position in his honor. I don't know about JD, though.
I mean, he deserves it eventually. You know what I mean? I think the idea that the Bulls are going with here is that, like, this is something that's going to go on for a long, long time. I think they said that every 2 years they're going to revisit it, and the classes are not going to be this big as they are right out of the gate. But, you know, maybe 2 or 3 guys every couple of years get a nice little night to say hey to these guys. You know, they're going to get to Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, and then some of the other guys that played back in the day. And I don't even mean my day. I mean in the earlier days, you know, the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, stuff like that. And so I think what you're going to see from the folks who are commenting is, I already see it. What you might see from Herb is that a lot of recency bias, because what did you bring up, Sean, at the beginning of this is that, you know, if you want to go and look at some of the best players in White Sox history, they all played back during World War I.
Half of them are dead. Right.
And so
6 of the 11 retired numbers, unfortunately, they have passed.
And then if you go down to the next, the maybe 10 or so guys whose numbers aren't retired, but are war leaders in franchise history, half of those guys played, you know, in the 1910s and stuff like that too, which, listen, does Ed Walsh deserve to be in the Ring of Honor? Absolutely he does. But are you going to sell any tickets by, hey, come to Ed Walsh Day at the ballpark in 2029? Like, I just don't think that that's going to really jazz folks up. And so that's why I think Herb is saying someone like Jermaine Dye, and your reaction might be what it is because of the numbers. Hey, there's 25 guys you got to get to before you get to Jermaine Dye. But I think Herb is like, hey, let's get somebody who's gonna make some excitement here. So I'm going to meet in the middle with the next player that I want to talk about. And that's Belton Bill Melton, who is one of the most accomplished players in franchise history from a statistical standpoint. Also, maybe the White Sox should have done kind of what the Cubs did with number 31 and retired number 14 twice on the same day for Konerko and Belton Bill. But that's a guy who I think you're still going to have some folks who remember seeing him play back in the 70s. Obviously deserves it from a statistical standpoint, could come to the event and still be honored there. So there are some guys definitely from those early 20th century teams that deserve it. But Belton Bill is a guy from the 70s, and he's not the only one, but there's a guy from those 70s teams that I think definitely deserves to have his name up there in a Ring of Honor.
Okay, I'm jumping in because Belton Bill was a pleasure to work with back in the day at Fox Sports Net. I loved working with him. He's like, hey, laddie, how you doing? He was the best. But also, he should be in mainly because he dated Barbara Eden.
Boom.
Ring of Honor, period.
Okay. For people who don't know who Barbara Eden, she's Jeannie. I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, okay.
Still with us, I think, too.
Is she still stuck in the thing?
No, she's still alive.
They got her out? Okay.
Yeah.
So here's maybe the question that I do want to ask, because as Mazman's bringing up Appling, Aparicio, those guys are in, right? If you've had your jersey retired, you are in. You don't have to, old aches and pains doesn't have to give up make up the fight anymore. He's already in. But is this to then avoid jersey retirements, right? Because the Bulls were pretty thin on just number of jerseys, numbers retired. The Sox have 11. We've always brought up that maybe the 13th number retired would be Ozzie Guillen's 13. We always thought that Jose Abreu would probably get the chance to get his 79 retired. Abreu would probably be a Ring of Honor person because, again, you're taking in the personal accomplishments of the 2020 AL MVP. But are we still retiring jerseys with this? Like, if you are picturing the White Sox Ring of Honor, you're still retiring numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, why not? It could be two separate things, right?
Okay.
But also,
I'm just
moving
checking
forward, it would have to be exclusive. It'd have to be the best of the best, I would think. And Jose Abreu is part of that.
Yeah, Abreu is obviously, I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. The only thing is that we got to wait for him to retire. He's still an active player, but with his multiple MVPs, his multiple Silver Sluggers, his Rookie of the Year, his MVP, 79, I think is an easy one, and will be a number that is retired. So yeah, Jose Abreu deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. Let's go to some of the old guys, because I think that I could save some of the guys that are in the middle. I could even save Chris Sale, but like there are some old guys that I understand maybe won't sell some tickets, but Joe Jackson was extremely infamous, I guess,
100%.
but he was extremely talented as a baseball player. 14th in WAR over 5 years, had 27.8 WAR with the Chicago White Sox. Joe Jackson was one of the best players in Major League Baseball at the time. Led the league in total bases in 1916 with the White Sox. Was the player on that 1919 team. I understand that obviously, again, we probably shouldn't be giving the guys who threw the World Series some shine, but also has enough time passed, right? I don't know. I think Joe Jackson probably should deserve discussion. Ed Walsh, who's a Hall of Famer as well. He missed out on that team, but he absolutely deserved no jersey retired, but Ed Walsh deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. Eddie Seacott as well. Yes. He was on the 1917 team. Huh?
Yes, I agree. 100%.
Eddie Seacott, he was on the 1919 team, threw 306 innings. I feel like he should be in the Ring of Honor. Eddie Collins, too. Eddie Collins is 3rd in WAR. Luke Appling, 77.5 WAR. Frank Thomas, 68.3 WAR. Eddie Collins, 66.8 WAR. Nellie Fox, 47.4 WAR. Eddie Collins, I think, deserves some love. And then finally, Red Faber, just to round out all the old people. From Loras College, Red Faber. He was on the White Sox from 1914 to 1933. So 20 years with the team. I think obviously just that length of time with a team and how good he was as a player. Joe Jackson, Eddie Seacott, Eddie Collins, and Red Faber should be in the Ring of Honor.
And that's funny. Yes, Joe Jackson should be in for stepping out. It was good. And is she really going out with her too? With him. But those guys, the Buck Weavers and these Joe Jackson and Eddie Seacott were banned for life. Are they alive right now?
Right.
They're not alive, so they're eligible. Let's go. So it's not banned forever. It's banned for life of baseball. So put them in the Ring of Honor because, yes, what they did, and some of them, Buck Weaver contested until he died, that he had nothing to do with the 8-man out scheme. And Joe Jackson was illiterate, didn't know what he was doing, but he still had a great World Series. Eddie Seacott was part of the plan, so he should have some pause on his 1919 activities that he did there for the Black Sox team. But I think they've passed now. Their contributions to the White Sox are well known and 100% with Red Faber and Walsh too. So I think they all should be in the White Sox Ring of Honor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that I would be wanting to point out necessarily is maybe not so much the early days where the stats back them up, right? All you got to do is go to Baseball Reference and see all the black and white photos that show you that, those guys from those teams deserve to be in because from what they did from a statistical standpoint. And then obviously you've got the recency, bias of the guys who played in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s who everybody talking about this, ourselves included, watched them play, know how much they meant to the team in the moment. Let's not forget those 50s teams though, because those teams were those teams that were managed by Al Lopez won a ton of games, and then also those 70s and 80s teams. 70s had just a lot of really good players on them, and then that 1983 team that went ahead and competed for a pennant. So those 3 teams I think need to be represented as well. Guys like Wilbur Wood, guys like Dick Allen, guys like Chet Lemon, guys like Ron Kittle. These we've already talked about Baines and Fisk as being kind of no-brainers, but those 70s teams and those early 80s teams definitely need to be represented, as well as the guys from the 50s that played with Fox and Aparicio.
I had Wilbur Wood, so we'll get to Wilbur in a second. We'll get to some of those 70s and 80s guys and maybe some of the 50s guys as well. But I think Bennett asked, the 1919 team, is that one single entry? I brought this up to you yesterday. I guess it's more of an infamous inclusion, but should they be included? Should the 1917 team, the 2005 team, and the 1906 team, right, all have their own inclusions because they're champions? The Bulls only included the 95-96 team because of the 72 wins.
Yep.
73.
72.
72 wins. So, I mean, what do we make of team inclusions, and what would a team have to do to get that honor?
Well, go ahead, Vinny.
I think it makes sense for the reason probably that the Bulls did it, which is, we might not put Steve Kerr in, but boy, it'd be nice to honor Steve Kerr in some way. We might not put Luke Longley and Ron Harper in, but it'd be nice to include them in some way so folks can get kind of that, nostalgia trip kind of a little bit. And so I think 2005, you'd probably think about the same way, right? Like, yeah, Mark Burley's going in, Paul Konerko's going in. You might get, Dye will be there eventually. Pierzynski will be there eventually. But like, I don't know if Dustin Hermanson's going in, but boy, it'd be nice to have him come on down for a day and get him a round of applause and have his name be included when you look up who's been honored. Guys like, maybe Jose Contreras does make it at one point, but El Duque is not going to be individually in the Ring of Honor. But hey, let's remember what El Duque did for the White Sox. So I think that kind of thing is a good thing. I would be against 1919 because they're famous for a bad thing. You know what I mean? I think that probably is casting a negative light upon what you're trying to celebrate. But there are a lot of players on that team who maybe could be included, as we just talked about.
The 2005 team, 100%. They had a 99-win regular season and then steamrolled to the best record in playoff history, tied with the Yankees, I believe, at 11-1. So, yes.
You're biased.
That is literally the best record in Major League Baseball history of the wild card era.
What's the best day of your life?
It's true. No, it's October 26, 2005. They are one of the best teams. When the Dolphins like celebrate that somebody finally lost in the regular season, the ones who are still alive, just because they have the best record of all time in the NFL. If you have the all-time best record in baseball and playoff baseball history, you would definitely celebrate that and put that in the Ring of Honor and have a Shingo Takatsu come back.
Who is basketball's equivalent to the 1972 Dolphins?
I don't know.
The 1995-1996 Bulls, no?
They're good, but they won. The 72 is the regular season.
73-9.
Okay, but does it not mean a thing unless that they have the ring and they didn't have the ring? So what are we talking about here? Okay,
but that's why they say it. 72-10 is the best record if you want a championship.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the equivalent to the Miami Dolphins, like the Warriors equivalent is the Patriots team that went undefeated in the regular season and lost to the Giants.
Yeah, but even then, the Bulls record is no longer standing. The 73-win Golden State Warriors have claim to the best regular season record.
Don't mean a thing unless it was the ring. Okay, all right. So
no one's beaten the White Sox record, and it was in the playoffs too.
Okay, Vinny, and then I'll ask you this: who's the baseball equivalent to the 1972 Miami Dolphins?
Well,
it's
I'm not
the 1927 Yankees. Okay,
I'm not sure how we got off on this track because I think the point is that the whatever year Warriors that won 73 games is certainly worthy of inclusion in the Warriors Ring of Honor, and the 2005 White Sox are the no-brainer inclusion in the White Sox Ring of Honor. Whether either of those teams won a World Series or not, they are the best teams in recent memory for those franchises, and I think that's the point. Yes, Herb, without a doubt, the 2005 White Sox would be part of the White Sox Ring of Honor. Yes.
All right, I got
no other team and no one other individual team.
I mean, I don't know. I think
17 was a special. The 06 team who beat the Cubs.
Well, no, but you're not just honoring good teams. They have to have accomplished something, and so I think 83 somewhere down the road, right, would be included in that. Again, I think 59 would definitely be included in that. 59, they won the pennant. I mean, that doesn't have. Hey, how many times do I have to tell you how many times this team has made the playoffs in 123 years, Sean?
Right?
Okay, so what? We're going to include all 13 playoff teams in then?
No, but you should include the ones that made it and made it a certain distance.
And think about this, Sean, too. Like in Chicago at that time, there was a dearth of playoff teams. Like from I think like the 70s until 83. There was not a lot of playoff teams in the city inclusion. The White Sox in 83, and if you count the Sting before that, we're kind of like, oh yeah, here we go, playoffs time. So it's 83 White Sox, 84 Cubs, 85 Bears, and then we started the ball rolling. Now we're in that lull again. So yes, 83, that was a big time team.
You started the ball rolling, and then the Bears didn't make the playoffs after 85, or did they make it in 86?
No, the Bears
made it.
They
made it in 86, and then no playoff team made it until the Bulls in 91.
Not true.
It was like a 7-year gap.
Bears made the playoffs most of the 80s, if not. They got killed by the 49ers, and they destroyed Bearweather like in 1988. But the Bears were really damn good in the 80s. Like, really damn good.
88.
Yeah, and the Bulls were making the playoffs. They were just
Yeah.
losing to the Celtics and the Pistons.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm thinking of then. Okay.
The Cubs made it in 89.
They did.
Yes. Okay.
And weren't the Hawks in the Stanley Cup in
90?
what?
Yes, they lost to the Penguins.
Yeah.
92 or 3.
91. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going to go with this.
I don't know.
You poo-pooed the idea of the 59 and 83
Overwood.
teams being in there. Yeah.
Well, again, they're not. It makes sense for the 3 World Series teams, or maybe they're the first class.
Yeah, they should go in first. Yeah, but just eventually, I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I did every single one of the 90s Bulls team go in? No, it was just one specific team.
So far.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But so first class, we're putting in all 3 World Series teams.
No, I would put in 05, first class. Yeah.
Recency bias. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean,
but you're trying to sell tickets, aren't you?
I guess. In this fake scenario, though, my worry isn't selling tickets. I'm not trying to.
Everyone, come
this
on
isn't
down.
Lollapalooza.
Come on down. Fill up guaranteed rate field as we honor the 1906 world champions.
Thank God we have an
that's
85% capacity, or
you
my
remember
job
when we
would
beat
be
the
on the line.
Cubbies? It was such a great year. Here.
Let's go to Wilbur Wood. I got one other pitcher too that I want to bring up, but from 1967 to 1978, in 578 games, over 2,500 innings, Wilbur Wood had an ERA of 3.18. 2 top 3 finishes in the Cy Young, 2 top 10 finishes for the MVP, and even throw in one more top 5 finish for the Cy Young. And from 1971 to 1972 to 1973, he was one of, if not the best pitchers in the American League. Wilbur Wood, shout out your rule. We'll give Wilbur Wood some Ring of Honor love. Also, Dustin Hermanson, 10th in White Sox history in ERA.
Wow. How about that?
2 years?
That's 2 years, 66 games or something like that. Mm-hmm. Anthony Swarzak's 9th. In Jesse Crane.
That ruins
4th.
everything. And Anthony Swarzak hit a home run too, didn't he?
No, you're thinking of Anthony Renato.
Oh, Renato.
Yeah. And he did it in Milwaukee just like Mark Burley.
Lost that game.
No, he did it at Wrigley.
So here's the thing. Dave Barisa asking, nobody putting in Bobby Jenks. Luke's also saying Jeff Blum and Ring of Honor. I guess we just have to put the 2005 team in.
Yes.
We put the 2005 team in. Those guys get in.
They do.
So 10th in White Sox history ERA, Dustin Hermanson can get in. Cliff Polite can get in. El Duque can get in. Mm-hmm. Jose Contreras with his softball hands can get in, and Herb's
can get in.
Jermaine Dye selection can get in. I don't know about Ron.
That's really good.
I guess I'm just trying to picture the first 3 classes. I don't think Ron Kittle.
Yeah, I think he probably would.
I mean, he's got Rookie of the Year. He can make the actual building of the Ring of Honor with his bats and baseballs.
He could construct it.
Yeah.
So the first class, we'll put the 11 retired numbers in, and then Hawk, Ozzy, Al Lopez. Fair?
Bill Veck?
That's the first class?
Bill Veck?
Bill Veck over Al Lopez?
No, all 4 of them.
No,
yeah.
I want to be.
Sean's shaving this down.
Let's keep this, or maybe Rube Foster. Maybe kick Al Lopez out and put Rube Foster.
No,
you're kicking out the winningest manager in team history.
Yeah.
Why can't you just add another name?
Yeah, it's an arbitrary list that we're making.
Did you already make a graphic, Sean? Is that what it is?
All right, fine. We'll put fucking who? Bill Veck in? You want?
Yes,
All
he's a innovator to the game.
The whole point is he's just going to be on the second class. I mean, it's not like we're not putting him in.
You're the one that's splitting hairs here, Sean.
I'm just trying to be a little bit more selective. Maybe have more of a definitive class. It just seems like,
but he would have no other
first class guy over a second class person.
He would have no other way of being on a list because he wasn't a player, so his number couldn't be retired. So Bill Veeck deserves some type of recognition in that first class or the second class, either way.
Make a case for him to be in the first class, though. I'm trying to keep 3 people in, and you guys are like, "Oh, we'll put him in."
Fine.
No one's going to give me a good reason why.
And who? Hawk? Yeah, Ozzy, Al, and Hawk. There you go.
Okay. All right. Ozzy, Al, and Hawk. All right. So
there's one name that we, as a non-player, who we have not brought up yet.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Who probably almost definitely needs to be on there, and that would be Kenny Williams.
Oh.
I'm not saying first class or anything, but I understand that folks, again, to discuss recency bias, folks not happy with him at the moment, but he was the guy, he was the GM of the only team that's won a World Series for this franchise in the last 100 years.
Yeah, Kenny's the only general manager to win a championship for the White Sox. Other people in the general manager's position wasn't a thing in the 06. That's why I put Jermaine Dye in too, because he's the only MVP in White Sox history for the World Series.
Yeah, it was just whatever players could travel by train from Iowa. Okay, so let's make the second class 4 players. Okay, 4 players. We'll include Nancy Faust, Bill Veeck, Ed Farmer. Or do you want to put? Does Ken count in the 2005 team? Is the 2005 team also being included in the first class?
In the first class, yeah, probably.
So then we'll put Ken in the first class. All right, so Ken's in there because he's going in with the 2005 team. So Ed Farmer, Bill Veeck, and Nancy Faust are your non-players in the second class. 3 players to define the second class. Who is it?
Just 3.
Yes, and we're not going to count Abreu and Chris Sale. I think those guys are clear, obvious Ring of Honor guys.
Well, then I would go across the generations. Active. Then I would pick an early guy, and then Bill Melton, and then Robin.
Mm-hmm. That works. So Red Faber or something like that.
Yeah, Walsh, Collins, Faber, one of those guys, and go create a nice spectrum of team history.
Yeah, well, hey, why don't we do that then? Why don't we take Ed Walsh and Eddie Collins? Ed Walsh, I guess, is the least. What's it called? Controversial. So we'll take Ed Walsh. We'll do Ed Walsh, Robin Ventura, and Bill Melton.
Eddie Collins didn't do anything. He was a college boy. He was part of not doing the cheating. You should put him in there above Ed Walsh.
Or you could put all 3 Eds in it. You could have a whole class of Eds.
Yeah,
you could have Eddie Collins, Ed Walsh, Eddie Seacott, and Ed Farmer.
Yeah,
maybe we're missing out. All right, Luke's also. We got 3 guys that we haven't brought up: Lamar Hoyt, Jack McDowell, Bobby Thigpen. Those are, I guess, names that could be later. But I mean, if you're taking career achievements, they had moments, but they really didn't have, I guess, length. I know Bobby Thigpen leads the team in saves, but saves is also not a stat that's been counted for a long time. And what do saves actually mean? I don't know.
One more name that hasn't been brought up yet. Again, not for immediate, but definitely worthy. OEO, Maglio.
Does he?
I mean, his years here were pretty damn good. If he would have stayed healthy in 04, they would have won the World Series earlier.
Maglio's 17th in batting WAR, above Harold Baines. So there you go. If that means anything. Sherm Lawler, also above Mags. So same with Willie Cam from the 1923 to 1931. Those are, I guess, some of the other names above Mags.
I've never heard of Willie Cam before.
Willie Cam. I don't even know what position. Third base.
I would put in that's not a player that will be way down the line is Gene Honda.
Oh, yes. No, that's a good one.
I mean, we should have Greg Braggs back here to do the hold numbers again.
Man,
I'm down with that.
Gene Honda. You got the Sod Father. Anybody else you want to nominate from the last 20 years or so? 20 years or so. Can we get? You want to put Steve Perry in there just for his contributions in 2005?
No. Song about.
I mean, Journey doesn't want him. I'll take Steve Perry.
No. Song about Detroit from a San Francisco guy, which he did that song eventually for the Giants too.
Right. A song about Detroit from a San Francisco team, from a San Francisco guy about a Chicago team. That's really, really good. Why was that the song?
because they got
because they
drunk.
weren't supposed to stop believing.
Yeah. I think they were making fun of it initially with it was a Creedy, Rowan, and Brzezinski at a bar. And then it became the theme because they started winning.
Hell yeah. Hey, I mean, I became a huge fan of Don't Stop Believing in 2005. I mean, I was never a bigger fan of that song than 2005. That's for damn
Then you
sure.
got sick of it immediately.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for this experience. We'll define this. Maybe they'll even consult us to do the Ring of Honor once they establish this.
I mean, this would be a nice social graphic for next week, I would imagine.
All right. We'll try to get
Doesn't
that
it? It sounds like a good one, don't you think?
first class.
Yeah. So, well, again, that's just the list of the retired numbers. But, you know.
Well, all right. We'll define it over the workshop.
Big thing. Yeah. It would be fun. I think people would respond to it.
All right. Lawrence, you got that? You got to make a big thing. Like
just a big
graphic
thing. That's the instructions I'm providing. Just a big thing.
Sean, I think you got
Big
this. You got this.
Oh, I got it. Okay. All right. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Thank you to everyone who was being active participants too, giving us people to talk about in the chat, like Luke, Other Sean, Dave Barisa, Matt, Alejandro. Have a great weekend. And Antonio, we'll end with this one. I think it's a good note. Ribby and rhubarb should be put in there. Not Southpaw, because he's still active. But Ribby and rhubarb should absolutely be in there.
Can we get Andy the Clown in there too? Maybe.
Absolutely. We'll get Andy the Clown. Actually, Andy the Clown is going to be on the show on Monday at 3:30. So,
wow.
so be there or be square. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.